China has announced a fresh round of sanctions against U.S. defense-linked entities and individuals, escalating tensions with Washington over American arms sales to Taiwan. According to Reuters, China's foreign ministry said the measures target 20 U.S. defense companies and 10 individuals connected to them, citing what Beijing describes as repeated violations of its core interests. The sanctions freeze any assets the listed companies or individuals hold within China and prohibit Chinese organizations and citizens from engaging in business with them. Those sanctioned also face travel restrictions. The foreign ministry said individuals on the list, including the founder of defense technology firm Anduril Industries and 9 senior executives from the affected companies, are barred from entering China. Among the firms named are Northrop Grumman Systems Corporation, L3 Harris Maritime Services, and Boeing's St. Louis-based defense unit, which focuses primarily on military and security-related work, Reuters reported. Beijing's move came days after Washington announced an arms package for Taiwan worth approximately $11.1 billion, the largest U.S. weapons sale to the island to date. The announcement drew sharp criticism from Chinese officials, who see any military support for Taiwan as a direct challenge to China's sovereignty claims.
The US side openly announced a major arms deal to Taiwan, seriously violating the One China principle and the 3 joint communiques and undermining China's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. This gravely jeopardizes the peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait and sends a seriously mistaken and dangerous signal to Taiwan independence separatist forces. China firmly opposes and strongly condemns this. Taiwan separatist forces seek independence and resist reunification through military means, lavishly wasting the public's hard-earned money on weapons, not hesitating to turn Taiwan into a powder keg. This cannot avert the inevitable demise of Taiwan independence, but will only accelerate pushing the Taiwan Strait towards the brink of war. The US side's use of force to aid Taiwan's independence will only backfire, and the strategy of using Taiwan to contain China will absolutely not succeed.
The Taiwan issue is the core of China's core interests and the first red line that cannot be crossed in China-US relations, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said in a statement carried by state media on Friday. The spokesperson warned that any actions crossing that line would be met with a strong response and urged the United States to halt what Beijing called dangerous efforts to arm the island. China maintains that Taiwan, which is democratically governed, is part of its territory, a claim firmly rejected by authorities in Taipei. The United States, while not formally recognizing Taiwan as a sovereign state, is legally obligated under the Taiwan Relations Act to provide the island with defensive weapons. U.S. officials argue that such arms sales help preserve peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, though they have long been a flashpoint in U.S.-China relations. Responding to Beijing's announcement, a spokesperson for the U.S. State Department said Washington strongly objects to China's sanctions. The spokesperson noted that the U.S. policy of providing Taiwan with defensive capabilities has remained consistent across 9 different U.S. administrations and contributes to regional stability. The official also criticized China's broader pressure campaign against Taiwan, calling on Beijing to reduce military, diplomatic, and economic coercion and instead pursue meaningful dialogue with Taipei. Analysts cited by Reuters described China's sanctions as largely symbolic, given that U.S. defense companies generally have a limited business exposure in China due to long-standing restrictions. However, the inclusion of Boeing is notable, as China has historically been a major customer for the company's civilian aircraft. Reuters previously reported that Boeing has been in discussions to sell up to 500 commercial jets to Chinese airlines, a deal that would mark a significant breakthrough amid prolonged U.S.-China trade tensions. The latest sanctions underscore how the Taiwan issue continues to drive friction between the world's two largest economies. With military support for the island expanding and rhetoric hardening on both sides, the dispute remains a central and volatile element of the broader strategic rivalry between Washington and Beijing.
The Taiwan independent separatist forces on the island seek independence through force, resist reunification by force, lavishly squandering the people's hard-earned money to purchase weapons, not hesitating to turn Taiwan into a powder keg. This will not save Taiwan independence from its inevitable doom, but only accelerate pushing the Taiwan Strait into a dangerous and war-prone situation. The U.S. side's use of force to aid Taiwan's independence will only backfire, and the strategy of using Taiwan to contain China will absolutely not succeed. The U.S. brazenly announced a massive advanced arms sale plan to Taiwan, gravely violating the One China principle and the three Sino-U.S. joint communique, seriously undermining China's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, severely damaging peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, and sending a gravely erroneous signal to Taiwan independence separatist forces. China firmly opposes and strongly condemns this. The Taiwan independent separatist forces on the island seek independence through force, resist reunification by force, lavishly squandering the people's hard-earned money to purchase weapons, not hesitating to turn Taiwan into a powder keg. This will not save Taiwan independence from its inevitable doom, but only accelerate pushing the Taiwan Strait into a dangerous and war-prone situation. The U.S. side's use of force to aid Taiwan's independence will only backfire, and the strategy of using Taiwan to contain China will absolutely not succeed. China opposes all unilateral bullying acts and supports all nations in defending their sovereignty and national dignity. Venezuela has the right to independent development and mutually beneficial cooperation with other countries. We believe the international community understands and supports Venezuela's stance in safeguarding its legitimate rights and interests. China supports Venezuela's request for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. We have taken note of the relevant reports, and it must be emphasized that within the pertinent sea and airspaces, all nations possess the freedom of navigation and overflight under international law. Given Japan's militarism, its history of aggression, and other factors, Japan's military and security movements have consistently drawn significant attention from its Asian neighbors and the international community. Previously, Japan has continuously strengthened targeted military deployments near China's Taiwan, even claiming to deploy medium-range missiles. This time, they've escalated, planning to deploy radar and troops engaging in the act of spying on their neighbors. Considering the Japanese Prime Minister Kishida's series of erroneous and dangerous statements and actions regarding Taiwan, people are compelled to ask, is the Japanese side intentionally creating and manufacturing incidents, engaging in close-quarters provocations to provide a cover and seek pretext for its own military expansion and venturing overseas? Will they, following the designs of right-wing forces, retread the evil, dead-end path of militarism? We urge Japan to learn from history's lessons.
The stage is set for a massive showdown between the US and China. Taiwan is at the center of a dangerous power struggle. The US has again touched the sore spot of Beijing by approving the largest ever weapons sale to Taipei. Big escalation in the already strained ties between the two world superpowers, the United States and China. Washington has upset Beijing following its approval of a multi-billion-dollar weapons sale to Taiwan. Taiwan, an issue very close to China. Beijing considers a violation of its sovereignty in the case of any involvement in Taiwan. And now, the United States approved $11.1 billion in arms sales to Taiwan. It is the largest ever U.S. weapons package for the island, which is under increasing military pressure from China. This is the second arms sale announcement under the U.S. President Donald Trump's second innings at the White House. The weapons list is formidable. It has HIMARS rocket systems, howitzers, Javelin anti-tank missiles, Altius loitering munition drones, and parts for other equipment. All are designed to boost Taiwan's deterrence against a rapidly expanding Chinese military. Taiwan, being harassed by China, welcomed the U.S. decision. Its defense ministry said in a statement that the United States continues to assist Taiwan in maintaining sufficient self-defense capabilities and in rapidly building strong deterrent power and leveraging asymmetric warfare advantages, which form the foundation for maintaining regional peace and stability. Taiwan's defense ministry also said that the package is at the congressional notification stage, which is where Congress has a chance to block or alter the sale should it wish, though Taiwan has widespread cross-party support. The Pentagon said arms sales serve U.S. national, economic, and security interests. Taiwan thanked the U.S. for strengthening its defense capabilities amid the growing China threat. U.S. arms sales come after Taiwan President Lai Ching-te last month announced a $40 billion supplementary defense budget to run from 2026 to 2033. Ching-te said there was no room for compromise on national security. Last week, Taiwanese Foreign Minister Lin Qialong also visited Washington unannounced. Qialong had met several U.S. officials with sketchy details of the meeting. Days later, the U.S. announced a mega weapons sale. Washington has formal diplomatic ties with Beijing, but maintains unofficial ties with Taiwan and is the island's most important arms supplier. The U.S. is bound by law to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself, though such arms sales are a persistent source of friction with China. U.S. officials told Reuters that Trump seeks to ramp up weapons sales to Taipei in his second term to a level exceeding his first term as part of an effort to deter China. But a strong reaction from China is expected. For Beijing, this crosses a red line. China considers Taiwan an inseparable part of its territory. Any foreign military support for Taipei is viewed as interference and provocation by China. Xi Jinping has made it clear before, if needed, China will take Taiwan by force. So if deterrence fails, if Taiwan becomes the flashpoint, who wins? A war between the United States and China? The answer may lie inside a classified Pentagon document. Overmatch brief.